Major Asher carefully surveyed his squad of infiltrators, each clad in stealth-enhanced battle suits designed to absorb the glaring luminance of the docking bay. Addressing his team with a commanding voice, he outlined their mission. Infiltrators, today we assault the Tarian space Citadel orbiting car. Reconnaissance reveals their defenses are arranged in a quintessential diamond array of pulse-ion artillery encircling the nucleus in a layered orb configuration, a scenario we've mastered in numerous incursions. The infiltrators responded with resounding thumps of their plated gauntlets against their chests, emitting a thunderous acclaim. Asher, striding with the presence of a warlord marshaling his legion, continued, "Their fortifications are calibrated to repel dreadnoughts or salvos of rockets, not a precision-coded piercing directly to their core. Our insertion will be abrupt and vehement via an identified vulnerability in the AFD lower segment." Activating a mechanism on his wrist, Asher conjured a holographic simulacrum of the fortress, demonstrating its rotations and vulnerabilities. Richter will spearhead the Crimson Squad starboard, while I helm the Azure Squad portside. Traverse and secure all defensive partitions until we converge at the central orb and the power core chamber. He reminded his elite Marines of their lineage and purpose. The vanguard shock troopers of the United Tarian Federation inherit audacious attack strategies from the fabled 21st century commandos. Our gaze is steely and resolute. A feral anticipation gleamed in Asher's ice-blue eyes visible through his visor. The Tarians deem their bastion unassailable, protected by dense neutronium armor shielding their armaments. Let us disabuse them of this fallacy. The warriors unleashed their war chants, adrenalized and eager for the fray as alert sirens blared. The magnetic barrier dissolved as the modified assault shuttle maneuvered into position. Secure visors and verify equipment. We breach in T-2, Asher bellowed above the tumult. The breach unit rapidly donned their helmets, activating sophisticated armaments integrated within their tactical attire. Each soldier was equipped with limb-enhanced micro-hydraulic systems for demolishing barriers, complemented by an arsenal including plasma torches, wire shears, detonators, and electronic warfare apparatus, all embedded within fortified exoskeletons crafted to puncture the most resilient barricades. Lieutenant Rohr, commander of the Red Team, linked forearms with Asher, their camaraderie silent but deeply forged through numerous skirmishes. For us, this operation is merely an extension of our shared saga, Lieutenant Colonel Richter articulated, his voice slightly distorted by the suits. External voice amplifiers maintain pace. Rohr Asher retorted with a chuckle as he advanced up the ramp, delivering a firm pat on the armored shoulder of his comrade, Cotter, assembled into the assault shuttle. They positioned themselves on vibration-dampening seats, flanking the interior of the crowded compartment. The metallic portal sealed with a resonant thud as the craft departed the bay, propulsion forcing the warriors against their seats. Navigating past the colossal turbines of the Tarian warship stationed above the planet car, the pilot broadcasted through the internal communications network, 1 minute to engagement. The warriors remained silent, meticulously conducting final assessments on their weaponry and armor diagnostics, mentally preparing for the forthcoming confrontation. Breacher tactics emphasized relentless aggression and dynamism, echoed through the compartment, reflecting the siege tactics of their predecessors who stormed fortresses with towers and rams. They thrived on breaching into the adversary's most fortified routes. "Half a minute remains," came the announcement. Tremors ran through the craft as an exterior blade casing detached, revealing the robust neutron boron inner framework designed to shield the incursion squad during their perilous moments of breach. "Prepare for collision." The pilot's alert was almost drowned out by the clamor of encroaching danger alarms. The Tarians had discerned the approaching vessel, aligning their ion artillery accordingly. Brilliant flares of light erupted from Car's stony terrain as electromagnetic rails hurled torrents of lethal subatomic particles into the void. The craft bucked wildly yet maintained its course as the pilot activated attitude thrusters to correct their path. The Marines, undeterred by the bone-jarring vibrations, readied themselves for the descent, rapidly diminishing the distance. The battered shuttle hurtled towards the luminescent shield, guarding a minuscule vulnerability in the battle station's layered defenses. The pilot rerouted all power reserves to the frontal barriers momentarily before the crash. A surge of blue Cherenkov radiation signaled the overwhelmed shield's collapse, just as the vessel penetrated the battle station's outer neutronium shell, barreling into the armored passageways of the Tarian stronghold. Emergency barriers slammed down as the craft tore through multiple deck strata before halting within the station's framework. The rear exit blasted open, and Lieutenant Colonel Asher emerged, his plasma rifle ablaze with action. Blue team deployed in his wake, with Roar and Red team cascading from the opposite end of the shattered shuttle. Sirens blared over the atmospheric breach as the squad secured their footing on the deck with magnetic locks, preventing their ejection into the void through the freshly wrought breaches in the orbital bastion. As Tarian forces appeared, they stumbled upon the human invaders. A fleeting shock crossed their visages, swiftly extinguished by trained reflexes honed through endless tactical simulations. Luminous beams of energy danced down the hallway, with plasma discharges and ionized particles weaving through the tumultuous skirmish. The Tarians, although prompt, were mere internal guards prepared for minor breaches or domestic uprisings, not against two detachments of Terran elite infiltrators. Overwhelmed by the ferocious Terran onslaught, the alien forces quickly faltered. "Advance breaching team," Asher commanded, his rifle's barrel still smoking, as he gestured towards a gaping breach in the security partition. The lifeless forms of Tarians were briskly pushed aside by the armored hands of the assailants, now smeared with the phosphorescent lifeblood of their foes. From ruptured conduits, emergency sealing foam surged, solidifying as it occupied the newly emptied corridors. Such concerns scarcely troubled Asher. His charge was to delve deeper into this stronghold with no standard safeguard poised to delay him. His squad, sheathed in heavy armor, functioned as a formidable spike thrust directly into the heart of the station. Once embedded within their target, nothing short of total obliteration would dislodge them before their mission was accomplished. "Breaching now," Roar declared as he extended a concentrated plasma lance from his suit, meticulously carving an entry in the flickering emergency barrier. Sparks flew as the beam heated to a blistering 10,000 degrees, swiftly outlining an aperture sufficiently large for tandem entry. Asher discharged a diminutive explosive from his shoulder-mounted armament into the freshly cleaved corridor beyond. The detonation reverberated through the enclosure, jarring the protective gear of his squadron as the explosive device dismantled the subsequent partition. Asher led the charge, his squadron in tow, executing a flawless leapfrogging advance. Each squad provided cover fire for the next, breaching successive barriers. The Tarian strategy was not one of gradual encroachment upon external. The fortified station stood as a daunting challenge, its defenses robust and unyielding. But the Tarian assault was marked by boldness, aiming not for a prolonged siege but a direct, disruptive push. Breacher units advanced swiftly, targeting critical systems deep within enemy territory. With each layer breached, they carved a path toward the central reactor, the pulsating heart of the station. Missile barrages and battleship armaments assaulted the station's exterior, but the Tarian strategy focused on a surgical strike. Their objective, thrust a metaphorical dagger into the station's core. Troopers, unused to such aggressive tactics, faltered under the relentless assault, calling desperately for reinforcements. As they ascended through the station, encountering zero-gravity assault troops, the Tarians faced meticulous counter-defenses from the Tarians. Despite the opposition, they pressed onward, Ash's HUD indicating they were mere levels away from the reactor. Internal security measures proved inadequate against their determined advance. The conflict unfolded through gravity-nullified corridors, rotating habitats, and hydroponic fields, the Tarians smashing through resistance with relentless force. The aftermath left alien adversaries and defenses shattered, bathed in the mist of battle. Reaching the reactor entrance, Ash's unit meticulously prepared explosives while maintaining suppressive fire against persistent Tarian squads. With no reinforcements forthcoming, the Tarian strategy relied on speed and resolution, aiming for swift victory or risking annihilation. "Initiate on my mark," Asher commanded, positioning himself by the sealed portal. Explosive charges and thermite adhesive were primed, his team ready for the final push. Enemy fire intensified as they breached the portal, overwhelming unprepared engineers guarding the reactor. Asher led his squadron into the breach, weapons blazing. They swiftly secured the perimeter around the reactor's central node, defiantly challenging Tarian forces. Communication with their command ship confirmed the mission's success, the explosive set, and awaiting retrieval. As Tarian shuttles descended to secure the breached enclave, survivors hurried aboard, dodging final volleys from desperate Tarian defenders. On the command cruiser, Asher, amidst the aftermath, savored the triumph of another successful mission. The once invincible station, now reduced to debris, marked a critical defeat for the Tarian fleet. Yet, even in victory, Asher contemplated future challenges. The Breacher's legacy was one of perpetual adaptation and strategic refinement, always preparing for the next formidable stronghold. Their expertise in breaching defenses and penetrating deep into enemy territory remained unmatched in the galaxy. Thus was the legacy of humanity's vanguard, the Breachers, led by the resolute Asher, their craft honed to perfection in the celestial expanse, unstoppable and indomitable.